real quick little session is what we're doing, and the idea was we have all this stuff. How are we supposed to take these iPads and get them to the Promethean board? Because they're really not very succinct. And that's the thing about it that gets so irritating sometimes is you say to yourself, okay, one of the things that I did a long time ago when I very first got this was I Googled and I said, you know, something very simple like sync my iPad to my LCD projector. And what ended up coming up was, and I'm sure you've seen them, those little bitty short cords that you plug into your iPad and then you somehow plug it into the monitor over here on your computer. So that pretty much means that your iPad is going to stay here, and that's it. And that's fine if you just do teacher-centered instruction all the time, but the idea is to get it out and get it into the group and to use it in real time. And that was the big piece that I was having a hard time with. So then I started looking at document cameras. Cheapest document camera is $70. And then once again, the document camera stays in one place. Your iPad has to stay under it. That's an issue. It's irritating. So what I came up with was, what if I just use Dropbox to share in between my iPad and my Promethean board? And I was wondering, how fast does it move? Okay, so you all have a to-do list in front of you. And this is really the idea of, what am I going to do first? How am I going to make this happen? One, you need to download Dropbox. It's the #1 thing that you have to do. Does everybody have Dropbox on their computer already? No? Okay, so that's one thing that you can do. Have it on your iPad. Another thing, put it on your smartphone also. Because this is what's really neat. When you see things that you really like, take pictures on with your smartphone. It all of a sudden is then linked. I have my laptop, this computer, which runs my Promethean board, my iPad, and my phone all linked to the same Dropbox. Now, here's the other thing that works. Once you do that, it's best to have Bill come and install Dropbox on the computer that runs your Promethean board. If it's your laptop, put it there. If it's one of these, put it there. Okay? So, once we have that, what that is really is it's just a tunnel. It's a tunnel from your phone to your Promethean board. It's a tunnel from your iPad to your Promethean board. Now you guys might have a little bit of a hard time when you're moving in between, but if it's an LCD projector that you're accessing, you might be able to plug your laptops into it. So that might be something that you could.
Like in the laptop lab you could do?
Or, here's another thing. If you make the things that you've taken pictures of public, you can access them on people's shared public Dropbox drives. Okay? Once you make it public. So that's something that you can do.
Could they, if everybody had Dropbox on their computer, could we log out of their Dropbox account and log into ours on your
I'm not
computer?
sure about that. Maybe. But one of the things that you have to understand is it's even easier just to make it public because there's a public folder in Dropbox that you can then access it from any Dropbox account because what you've done is made public. Now, here's the big instrument that we're getting into today. There's an app. I think this is the third step. The app is called GeniusScan Plus. Now, that's the next one that you can, that I want you to download if you're going to do this later. The thing is, you can buy it on iTunes. I think it's like $1.99. Buy it on Android, $1.09. Now, this is the big piece between getting things from here to here. That's the big instrument. And I'm going to show you kind of a couple of things that I always do that makes it easier. First thing I do in the morning when I have my Dropbox is I have one of my children open up my Dropbox folder. Just like so. And then I created a folder in my Dropbox folder called Promethean. That way when I'm uploading, it's a straight shot and it stays open all the time in my classroom. And what I do is I just minimize it out. So that while I'm teaching, I can do one thing, and if I see something that a child's working on and I like it, and I want to project it up here really fast, I'll show you how quickly it really works. So, what happens is this. GeniusScan looks like this when you first open it up. It's real simple. It just has a little camera right here. If it's not there, Jennifer, you can, it's an older app. If it's not there, you can use this one right here, the Jot Note scanner. One of the biggest things that you need to understand is make sure that it says sync your files to Dropbox. Because if it doesn't, then you have to email them to yourself and it becomes an issue. So one of the things that you do when you have this app that makes it so nice is you have the camera feature. And let's say I'm looking at something that Nancy's working on. I go to my camera feature like this. I hold it over what she's working on. And then I just take a picture of it. And once that happens, I can crop it. Okay? Then I hit use. And you can either make it black and white or you can make it color. One of the problems that does come up sometimes is the shadow. But you're really just using it for a quick example. And then all I do is I hit the export button. I always export my things as PDFs. They're just easier to manipulate. And then I hit Dropbox, medium. And do you see how it says what my folder is? That's why I named my folder Promethean, because it just goes straight in there. And then I just hit send. Now watch this. 1, 2. It's 2 seconds. That's the thing that I like about this. It's 2 seconds. So then all I have to do at this point, I open it up. And here we are, we can talk about what it is that Nancy's working on. Okay? It's really great because then if you have your Promethean open, you can highlight things. Everybody pay attention to field day on the 17th. We also need to look that movie day is going to be on the 29th. So that's something that we can do. Okay? It works really well like that. Now, one of the other big things that I like about this is once I'm done with this, you're done with it. Get rid of it. Don't make it harder on yourself and keep a whole, you know how sometimes you just have a whole bunch of files and you're like, where did it go? Just delete it. Get rid of it. Make it as simple as possible. The idea is it's just to take it from the children up to the Promethean board. Okay? Now, when are you going to use this? And that was one of my big things as I started looking at. There's thousands and thousands of opportunities that you have. What's one of the first little items that I put down there?
Pages from a book.
Pages from a book. Let's say I'm doing quotation marks and our kids are reading The One and Only Ivan. In the past, you would have had to Google, you would have had to find something, but let's say you found a very specific passage that you just read. Photograph. Go to your page in the book. Adjust your crop. Use. Export it. Dropbox. Medium. Send. Okay? It's here. It's right there. Now, if you want to get a little bit deeper into it, once again, you have your Promethean open, you take a picture, and now you have it here to keep if you really want to. Hold on one second. Sorry.
So you have to take a picture of it to keep it?
You have to keep a picture of it to keep it if you want to use it with Promethean and highlight it and things like that. Now, you can just keep it in your Dropbox to constantly access, but here's the thing that I've found that I like most about putting it into my Promethean. You don't have to, but this is kind of to make it a little bit better. All you do at this point is you can start taking notes off to the side. You can highlight the places that you see quotation marks.
Is that why you take a picture of it?
That's why I take a picture of it, because it moves it to Promethean, and then I can annotate it all down the side over here and save it with the annotations. Here's one of the things I did a while back, just to give you an example of what it looks like. I was working with a small group, and it was some of my boys that aren't really big about taking notes and stuff, so I was really having to hold their hand, and we were taking notes looking at informational text. And we were going to use those notes to outline an actual informational piece of writing. This is what it ended up looking like after we took pictures of the notes that I had. I was able to highlight the areas and then plug it into a graphic organizer so that they could see where the different pieces came from in our notes and how we were going to organize the writing. But originally, if you had done this on a sheet of paper, it would have been difficult to have it up here as an example for the rest of the students to model and follow. So that works really well.
Daniel, can you explain one more time how you get it with GeniusScan from your iPad to the Promethean?
I'll show you really quick. What's the second way what's another way that I said you could use it?
Work samples.
Okay, a work sample. And I'll show you really quickly how to do that. I'm going to get rid of this just to get it out of my way. Okay, so a work sample. Let's say we're looking at this food chain that this child created over here, and we want to compare it to the rubric. On the very front page of GeniusScan, you have your orange camera.
Right.
Okay? When you click on that orange camera, it gives you the camera. You take a picture of what it is that you want to work with. Okay? Now, what happens is, it'll flip it up like this, and you see your orange piece that you can crop it out. You hit Use. Okay? And now I can rotate it if I want to. Now, you see the export button here? When you click export, you can go straight to Dropbox. Now, I always choose medium because it's a small file and it exports fast. Now, here, this will be the title. I can change this if I want to, but the idea is to use it quickly. So therefore, make it easy on yourself. You hit send.
Yeah, but how did you get that file before that, where it says Promethean? How did you set that up?
Okay, I'll show you. If I'm going to export it to Dropbox as a medium size, you click over here. These are all your Dropbox folders.
Oh, okay.
It's already
It's in the
synced
Dropbox
to my
folder.
Dropbox. That's why I said create a Promethean or an LCD folder. And that's why I have Promethean, because now every single time I go there now, it's just there and it's open. The idea is to be
So
able to
you
take
just
something and
created
put it up quick.
A whole bunch of files.
Mhm.
Dropbox. Drop it in.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's how you do it like that.
Do you know, I've been using Dropbox.
Teachers, please go ahead and transition to your second rotation. That rotation will go till 9:20.
I've been using Dropbox as on a lot of computers, and because it's not installed necessarily, I just go online, log into Dropbox, and all my
That's
stuff is
what I
there.
did.
Will
Yeah.
that work the same?
Absolutely, you can do that. And here's one more thing that I really like about it that I do a lot, and I know that you guys might also do. When you're writing on the board, and the day ends, and you want to keep it till tomorrow, take a picture of it. It'll save it in black and white as a PDF, and then you can go back to it and keep it as a timeline for your children to look at the next day, maybe in writer's workshop or something. That way, the next day, when they come in, we've already moved on from strong openings, and we're talking about transitions, and they're getting ready to start writing. They were like, Mr. Hodge, what are like 3 really good strong openings that we can use? These are the ones that we did yesterday on the board.
I really like that.
It's their scaffolding. It's their scaffolding. It keeps them constantly moving. And another thing that's really neat about it, now you can go back and call this informative openings. And then today, when we do transitions, put that in there. And then the next day, when you do the next thing, you can open all 3 of those, or 4, or 5, or 6 on one page in a flip chart, and your children have the scaffolding from the last 6 lessons that you did. That's the thing that's most important.
That would also be great for your absent students.
Absolutely, it's something
I was
that
thinking
comes up.
of the disabilities
Who need
Mhm.
who need a copy.
For them to come back
And you can
lesson that they
print
missed.
this. That's the other thing that I love. This is in Dropbox. You can print it off and hang it up. You see that piece back there that's hanging up next to the thing? I did that on the whiteboard. So.
So I can see this is useful because I'll write up notes on my small little whiteboard.
And then you have to erase it for the next grade level that comes in.
Exactly, and so
you
the
can
next day I'll
store
have
it.
to write.